Last up on the hot seat today, he is the head coach at the Naval Academy. He's Ed DeChellis, and he's with us here on GCR. Ed, it's Glenn and Patrick. It is great to chat with you. Thank you for taking the time for us this morning.
You're welcome. Great to be with you.
I think, Coach, we just start with you had a young team a year ago. How good does it feel coming into this year just with like some experience and guys having played and maybe a little bit more knowns than there were going into last season?
Well, it's yeah. I think it's not good to be young. So we're a year older. Hopefully, we're a year wiser. We got a year maturity on our belt, and guys have played and have some minutes underneath them now, and that's positive. We have a team that's trying to trying to figure it out like a lot of other teams across the country, and trying to get a rotation together, trying to see who fits with who. And so that's all in progress as we speak.
Wanted to ask a bit about Austin Benini, who averaged 17 a game last season for you, and really made that big freshman to sophomore leap. Where is he kind of at in your mind in this preseason for you, and just how significant a factor, how valuable is he going to be for you guys, and maybe even be one of the best players in the Patriot League this season?
Yeah, Patrick. I think first of all, I think he's improved his body. He's strong. He really worked hard in the off season with Fitz in the spring and the summer. His body is really put together. He's really because he creates contact. So that was one of the things we thought that he needed to improve on. Right? He goes in there and gets he takes contact, gives contact. So he's improved his body. I think he's worked really hard with Coach Jordan Lyons on shooting the ball. I think his perimeter shot is much better. I think he reads ball screen defense even better. John Perry's been working him on that. And I'm trying to get him to be a defensive rebounder. I think it's as a guard. I want our guys to be able to rebound the ball so we can push the ball and get into transition easier and try to create some opportunities there. So I think he's improved. For us, we see him every day. But I think when you see him, you'll see his shot's better. He looks a little thicker. And then the naked eye trying to see how the guy reads ball screens. I think he's done a very good job of that.
Staying with the knowns, I was reading in the Blue Ribbon yearbook about Navy basketball. I was reminded about kind of what a cool story Donovan Draper's success has been, and remembering that like he came to Navy to play football. I know there's still an amount of transition there. It's not that he hadn't played. He'd been a very high-level basketball player, clearly in high school. But how encouraged were you by what you saw, and how much growth do you feel like there still can be there for someone who had kind of gotten away from the sport a little bit?
Well, Drape is he's a great success story. Just like you mentioned, Glenn, he just walked into the office one day and said he wanted to play basketball. And we had seen him in high school, and he was up at the prep school for football, but he would go over in the afternoons and non-football season and play pickup with our players up there, and we knew about him. But Drape had he had a very good first year. It was all new to him because he hadn't played organized basketball in 2 years. I think the first thing he realized that it wasn't high school and it wasn't AAU. There was a little more structure to what we were trying to do, and there's a lot of things that he had to learn, and he was open to that. He just hadn't been exposed to it. Drape's best attributes is he's very athletic, he's very strong. He's got good instincts. He leads us in steals. He leads us in offensive rebounds. If you say Drape, go get a rebound, just at a timeout. Drape, we need an offensive rebound. Go get a rebound. He can go do that. He can just go get it. So his technique might not be exactly what you want, blocking out and releasing and all those types of things. But if you just say go get it, he can go get it. And that's what we try to put him in those kind of positions where he's driving the ball and doesn't have to make a lot of reads, or he's rebounding the ball or running the floor. Just run and we'll find you. And so he's still on that progress. I think he's improved his skill level over the spring and summer. We worked hard on him driving the ball right hand, driving the ball left hand, because he really didn't use his left much. So he's much better at that. I think he's a much improved shooter from three. He's been more consistent from his 3-point shot once he gets his feet set and 10 toes pointing towards the basket. So his skill level's improved. His understanding, Glenn, you mentioned it, his understanding of the offensive concepts is much better. Defensive concepts is much better. So, we hope he makes that jump sophomore to junior year that you hopefully see a lot of kids make from their freshman to sophomore year. So we're hoping to see that jump from the sophomore to his junior year.
And I don't know how often I've seen a guy in the middle of a season, like from mid-January to mid-February, improve as much as Aiden Kehoe did for you guys last season. And I know there had to have been a ton of work behind the scenes and a lot of effort on his part. Has that trajectory continued, and how much value does he bring as a 6'2" guy around the basket, assuming that he has continued to improve and get better?
Well, yeah, Patrick. He did show great improvement at the end of the year, and it was a lot of work every day leading up to that. And finally, for him, he gained some confidence and put the whole thing together. Is he there yet? I'm a little apprehensive to say he's there, but we're still a work in progress. He's still working at it. We're still pushing him every day to try to do some basic things that he can do to help our team. Because he can protect the rim at 6'10", 6'11". He's got a good frame in there. He can score around the basket. If he catches a ball around the basket, he can score with it. We're just trying to help him become more efficient, expand his game somewhat, right hand, left hand around the basket, and trying to get him to be more consistent. He's had some days I shake my head and I go, wow. And then he has some days I shake my head and I go, wow, where was he at today? And I'm just being upfront with you. So it's the consistency that, I'm trying to get from him on a daily basis. So it's a consistency, for his games. So he's going to play him.
He is Navy basketball coach Ed DeChellis. He's with us on our college basketball preview show. Coach, who from maybe the group of newcomers? I mean, it's weird talking to a program where we're not talking about like the transfer portal. We're just not used to these things in college basketball any longer. But like of your freshmen, and then maybe even of the guys, some of the younger players from a year ago, who else do you see sort of maybe taking a step forward or even having just a larger role this season?
Yeah, well, great question, Glenn. We had two kids that were hurt last year that didn't. They start out playing, and then Jinu Kim, David Kim. He played early in the non-conference, and then he had a knee injury and didn't play the whole Patriot League season. He's played very well for us. He's been very consistent. 6'5", 6'4", wing player. He can shoot, can drive it. His best skills, he can drive the basketball, make free throws. Strong kid, creates contact. He's been very good for us. And then I think a sophomore who played last year early, then he broke his hand, Carnegie Johnson, C.J. Johnson. He shot the ball so far this fall very well. He's playing the point guard and also off guard for us. And he's had some really good days and a couple good scrimmages. So he gives us some depth back there. And so those are, two guys that have, were here last year, but unfortunately they were hurt and didn't get to come play and compete. But they're back and they're full go. And so we added a couple more pieces to the puzzle with those two guys.
One of the highlights for Navy basketball for the last decade or so has been the Veterans Classic, and I know you've got another great doubleheader set up with Boston College and VCU coming in, as well as you guys getting to play Harvard. We talk about it every year, but just how meaningful is that event, and how strong an event do you feel like it's become for you guys, just as kind of a signature thing that you guys do now?
Yes, Pat. In the Veterans Classic, it's good for our campus. It's good for our community here in Annapolis. I think the people who played it, and you've covered it, and we've had number one team in the nation coming in here in North Carolina to Michigan State to Alabama to Auburn to Memphis to Ohio State to Florida. It was a who's who, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the game has changed, as you mentioned, and so have tournaments have changed. TV rights have changed. But we're fortunate to have a Boston College of the ACC, and Ryan Odom's VCU team is going to come in, and then Tommy Amaker. I've known Tommy forever, and he's going to bring Harvard in here. But I think it's important because we want to try to challenge ourselves as a program, to play a really good team, and we want to challenge ourselves as a program to do something special. And I think the way that we can honor our veterans through a basketball game, or just it's Veterans Day weekend, and we're all thankful. We all should be thankful for the service that our veterans have given our country, and it's just an opportunity for us to say thank you. It's an opportunity for us to visualize that with veterans at the game and standing up and so forth, and the things we do throughout the game. I think it's important that we pay our respects and our homage to the men and women of this country who protected us and protected our freedoms. And I just thought the only way that we could do it is maybe through a basketball game and through some awareness. And so with the help of CBS Sports Network and our staff here and our Gladchuck and our administration, we've been able to pull this off and give the team something they can't get anywhere else. And that's a day in the life of midshipmen. So on Thursday, they'll come in Wednesday night, and on Thursday, we have all the military things lined up, from ship simulators to, aviation simulators to helicopters to Marine Corps static displays to, different things on campus that they can choose to, experience. And that's kind of neat. And they can't get that anywhere else. And that was our sell to the teams throughout the years. It's made a little more difficult now because these other tournaments across the country are offering big money, as Glenn mentioned earlier, to NIL deals. And so instead of, these guys have a lot of places they can go, and some people are offering big money to play in their tournaments, and then in turn they would give that money to their NLI collective. We don't do that. That's not our philosophy. Our philosophy is different. We're kind of old school, and that's the way we're going to keep it.
Coach, the experience obviously helps. What else needs to go right for this group for you all to make that jump back up into the upper echelon of the Patriot League this season?
I like our team. We're a year older, but we do need to, have some consistency to us. And I've seen us in practice to where we're pretty good. Some days, we're not so good. So I'm looking for some consistency. And like every other team in America, you're an injury or two away from devastation. You just are, college sports. And so if we get some, you never want to say, I'm knocking on wood here, I'm sitting talking to you, but we have some key players that go down and injuries. Those are always things you can't control. And, I think we're deep enough to be able to put guys in those positions, but we'll see how they respond. I think our schedule is fair. Our non-conference schedule is fair. I think the league schedule is challenging, but we have what we need to be successful. And now if we get some coaching here, Glenn, will be all right.
The season gets underway Monday night up in Philly against St. Joe's, and then as Patrick mentioned, of course, the Veterans Classic next Friday night, doubleheader that starts at 6 at BC and VCU, and then Navy against Harvard. The first of 5 straight home games for the Mids in Annapolis, and great chances to check them out here in November. Coach, appreciate you. Thanks for hopping on with us this morning. Looking forward to seeing you during the course of the season. Thanks so much for doing this.
Thank you. See you, Patrick. You guys take care.
Awesome. Thanks, Ed.
It's Coach Ed DeChellis from down at Navy. Thumbnail on the Mids.
Like you said, a little older, Austin Benini. We didn't even mention Mac McDonald in there
sure.
as well, and that's a guy that had a 30 spot at one point last season. I think Donovan Draper is one of the every year we talk about like who would you pay in the area to go watch play. Like I think Donovan Draper's the guy, just because he's not kidding. Like I mean, one of the things that Ed told me for Blue Ribbon over the summer was, before the season, I said, if you could just go lead the Patriot League in rebounding, that would be great. And he goes, okay, and then and then he went and did that.
Yeah, that is helpful.
So it's there. It reminds me of a certain Tom Hanks role. Why did you do that? Because you told me to, right? Not to suggest a comparison beyond.
You
just
told me to.
Just go do it, right?
Yep.
And so that dude is a really sharp athlete. He was clearly figuring things out on the fly. And the fact that he could do as much as he could while figuring things out on the fly makes you wonder, once he has it figured out, what could he do? I think he's a tremendous player, just a really, really fun player to watch. So
I don't think he's calling Ed DeChellis drill sergeant. No,
he's probably not doing that. And I don't want to suggest any comparison
correct.
between beyond simply doing what you're told to do.